Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Creative Buzz podcast, a glimpse into the local arts hive mind. My name is Johnny Tran, the host of the Creative Buzz podcast and co owner of Thumbprint Gallery. Uh, the Creative Buzz podcast covers San Diego arts and culture. And thank you guys for checking us out. I want to let you know that the Creative Buzz podcast is sponsored by Thumbprint Gallery, and we were founded in 2009. Thumbprint Gallery curates monthly and pop up art exhibitions featuring emerging, mid career, and established artists with a focus on contemporary pop culture, nostalgia, urban art, and pop surrealism. The gallery seeks to provide an eclectic and engaging atmosphere to view art by bringing people together in appreciation and support of local, national, and international artists. And tonight on the podcast, we have a lot of cool stuff. First, we'll have an interview with novelist Vance Black. Quick update on the homelessness crisis in San Diego and how that affects the arts and culture sector here in San Diego, and then an interview with local artist Lourans Mikhail about his memorial mural um, for Tyre Nichols, and we'll be talking about some local art and music events as well. I do want to let you know about our current art exhibition at Thumbprint Gallery. Is still going on. Punk rock bedroom solo art exhibition by Bob Rob Medina, and it is currently on display until the closing reception on April 1st from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. The gallery is open every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., and also by appointment. And our upcoming art exhibition after that, I also want to let you know about. It's called Plus One, which is starting April 7th. And that is, 1 second here. And that is a group art exhibition. And the whole deal with that exhibition is we had the artists we booked at Thumbprint Gallery invite another artist of their choosing, an artist which we have not worked with before. We also had their art in the exhibition as well, and that's why we call it Plus One. And additionally, that evening, April 7th, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., we will be hosting a meet and greet with author Vance Black, who will be celebrating the printing of the hard copy of his second novel titled Battle of Nerthus. And we will also be speaking with the author very shortly. In fact, we are going to be doing that right now. So, 1 second here. Move this out of the way. This. All right. Welcome to the show, Vance Black. How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going, Johnny? Thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
for sure.
You scoot in the middle of the camera there.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, first time on your guys' show, but I've been following the Thumbprint Gallery since it was back in North Park. I don't know if it was it called Thumbprint Gallery back then or was it called something else?
No, it was called Thumbprint Gallery back then. We rented a little space inside of what is now known as Queen Bees, and I think we had your band play for us. Is that true? Or
Probably. Yeah,
I'm
probably.
pretty sure we did. But that was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And the band also played at I think uh one of the first shows. I don't know if you were working with Paul at this time, but it
Mhm.
was Peace in the Streets back in Escondido, like way back in the day. I don't even remember.
I think that might be pre Thumbprint, but yeah, that's pretty cool too.
definitely. Right on.
Yeah, you're
Thanks for having me.
OG.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
for
so
sure. Yeah, me and Paul went to college together back in Cal State San Marcos.
okay, cool. Yeah, just so everybody knows who doesn't know, Paul Eckdow is the co-owner of Thumbprint Gallery. Yeah, I gotta fix my. Always got my hair messed up on with my headphones, but yeah. So just to get us started, could you give us a little bit about your background? Um, are you from San Diego? How did you get involved in the arts?
Yeah, so I am actually a native San Diegan, which is pretty rare. Um, and like I said, I met the other co-founder of the Thumbprint Gallery in college. We kind of were both like the musicians in our class,
Okay,
and we go to Guitar Center on our lunch breaks over there on in San Marcos. So
nice.
we were, I think Paul was like, you play guitar? Yeah. You want to go to Guitar Center? Okay. So we ended up just like kind of hanging out. So yeah, just my background as an artist, started out as a musician in a
Hmm.
reggae band called Project Out of Bounds. We toured the West Coast. We went as far as New Mexico, to the east side, and all the way to Seattle, Washington, from the north side. Um, so we did a lot of sort of DIY tours for 15 years. We're not super active now. I mean, in fact, we haven't
Hmm.
played a show in a couple of years, so
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure if you want to consider it like disbanded, but we're just kind of on a long break, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's
To
my
be determined.
background. Yeah, exactly. So, played in the band for a long time, and then during the pandemic, focused my creative energy towards sci-fi,
Okay.
science fiction novel. Yeah. So here
It
I am now.
and were you a writer before the pandemic or
Just songwriter, that's pretty much it. So
okay.
I made a transition at some point from writing songs to writing, 100 to 200 page
Wow.
novels. So in the songs, I'm kind of telling stories more in a shortened version, and also, besides the lyrics, you're kind of telling the story with the music, the feeling
Mhm.
of what the message you're trying to express through the music. And then now it's just all through text. So, you know, you have, as a musician,
Mm.
you have these sounds in your head and
Right.
hooks and stuff,
Right.
of like these scenes in your head, visual scenes. And as a painter, you have some sort of visual uh, goal in mind, or vision. And so it's just a new experience to just only work with text. Actually, that's not true because I am doing some artwork in there myself. And then I
Okay.
have on the cover, it's actually a different artist, but on the inside artwork, it's some of my art. So that's
Okay. I
another
didn't I
fun
didn't
part.
realize that. I didn't realize that, but I read maybe
Yes.
20% of the
So the
book and
the
yeah.
cover art is actually pretty impressive, and
Mhm.
that's not me.
Right, right, right. Hey, your drawings are not bad either. Oh, I think you may have froze. Not getting any sound.
Sorry, I got like a little bit of a connection issue, so I'm kind of
Okay.
hearing you on delay. But yeah, if you could repeat it one more time, sorry.
Oh, I said your drawings are not bad.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, like I said,
Yeah,
the cover art is not me. The cover art's
got it.
another artist named
Right.
named Dave Cave, but he's really good. And my stuff's on the inside. It's not as to that level, but I'm
Sure.
it's kind of a work in progress, my craft. But
Very cool.
it's always been a hobby of mine, so
Right on. And
yeah.
why science fiction? Like why is that the genre you chose to write?
I think I've always been a fan of science fiction. Like the Alien franchise, and Terminator, and
Mm,
the big classic blockbusters from like the 80s and 90s. Um, big franchises, and even like Mad Max, Star Wars. So
okay.
for whatever reason, like whether it's Terminator, or some of these like kind of like uh, Mad Max, where it's like the end of the world sort of a thing. For whatever
Mhm.
reason, I feel like that's like so climactic, and I kind of was drawn to the post apocalyptic sort of genre. But I also
Okay.
have some space stuff in there, so it's almost like some Star Wars ish, vibes also. So there's like sort of a lot of things going on in this book series, I guess.
Yeah, cool. So mostly movies is the influence.
There is a lot of movies. You could point to some books like Brave New World and whatnot that are like
Mm,
dystopian, like dystopian
sure.
sort of novels. But yeah, I think there is a lot of film influence in this, and it's almost like as a creative mind, he's got this idea for a film, right? Like even if they're not a filmmaker or an artist, oh, it'd be a cool film, and and the closest thing you can get to sort of telling that kind of a story of a film, without having like some billion-dollar, million-dollar budget is
Mm,
through is through text. So that's kind of like it'd be cool to be James Cameron or whatnot, but um, creating the story through text, I think that's where most of these things start, anyways. And that's kind of
right.
like the foundation of storytelling is through word of mouth or basically text, which is
Language, right.
before it's read.
Right. And yeah, this is your second novel. Tell us about the novel.
Did I freeze again? Or I think I froze.
You did a little bit, but it's not too bad. But yeah, tell us about the novel titled Battle of Nerthus. What is it about, and who are the characters? Overall vibe.
Sorry, I think I froze again. I think you asked me about Battle of Nerthus, right?
Yeah, the novel Battle of Nerthus, your second novel. What is it about, and who are the characters? And
Yeah. So, the first book kind of touches on the post-apocalyptic, and it's caused by war, nuclear war.
Mhm,
Kind of, you know, God forbid, it's like similar to the climate that's going on now, where there's a lot of tension
okay,
building up between that like two different allies,
right.
allied powers, and then all of a sudden, they just they both pull the trigger, and everybody's kind of screwed. So, the first book touches upon that. The second book, it does mention that there's a crew in space,
Mhm,
while all this is happening. That's basically like they humans knew that they were like close to that they were close to doomsday, because of
mm.
the way things were politically and whatnot. So they try
Sounds
to
kind of
escape.
familiar.
Yeah, exactly. So they send us an exploration crew to be like, okay, let's find a plan B, let's find a habitable planet.
Right.
But if they do find something, it's only the elite that would be able to go there, right? Because
That
it's
makes sense. That's a
how
good
much
guess.
would it cost to get people? Yeah. So anyhow, the explorers are lucky enough to at least be there, because they have certain skills, whether you're a botanist or
Mm,
a scientist or some
okay.
sort of uh, there's different types of experts on this mission, and so they find themselves on this planet, but there's definitely some danger on this planet, and you could kind of point to s- similar stories like Alien. They go and they run into these dangerous aliens, so that's kind of like
Mhm,
the um I don't know, the prototype, I guess, for dangerous aliens, right? Like
sure,
dangerous alien stories is like alien movie franchise. So I would
definitely.
say my aliens sort of compared to these scientists and astronauts. They're not very equipped to you know I think there's only like one gun aboard this ship, and they don't have
Oh,
any way of protecting themselves. So that's kind of the basis of this book.
okay. Yeah, and what about the main characters? Like, who are some of the main characters, and kind of what are you trying to say with them, and what's the deal?
Sorry, like I said, I'm having connection issues. So I could you repeat that last question one more time?
Yeah, no worries. I was asking you, like, who are the main characters, and yeah, what are you trying to accomplish with the main characters?
Yeah, so the main characters are the scientists
Mm,
that are on this mission. You have people that are strictly like the captain of the ship and stuff that are kind of more in charge of making sure everybody's doing the right things on the mission and whatnot. But it
right.
comes down to there's like some medical staff aboard. There's like I said, there's the botanists that are in charge of growing food. There's like engineers that are in charge of um,
Mhm.
uh, setting up. a way to purify the water, and solar panels for to like power all their spaceship, which is kind of like basically their home once they land on this planet.
Right.
And then you
There's
have
an android, right?
like biologists that are there is an android, yes. So there's like a sexy android basically, and I
Mhm.
have this like crazy is 21 year. It's like the most advanced android that's like out there is basically like the origin of it is it's like a sex bot or something. And so they're like
Mm.
you know the military basically was like, man, this thing is so advanced that we're going to turn it into like a like android out there. So that's kind of like the story is that the android is like originally sort of like engineered for sex, but she's so advanced that they've like turned her into more of a you know an explorer with these astronauts,
Military.
and they
Oh,
send
okay.
her out first to kind of like gauge things. Yeah, to make
Mhm.
sure that the atmosphere is good and there's no threats and stuff. So she sets up the camera system and everything. So she's kind of like the first one on Nurthus in this book, and they utilize her for various tasks like that.
And Nerthus is the Plan B planet, right? Like, we're
Hmm.
you're trying to we might wanna colonize this place and see what's
Ye
going on.
Yes. The goal is for colonization.
Mhm.
Um, so this is kinda like just, okay, like, let's establish where our food system, let's establish our water system. So these guys are kinda just setting the groundwork, and, they have the botanist for a food source, but,
Okay.
maybe it's like maybe there's like fish in the water, or maybe there's like some other thing that they could use for a food source as well. Um, so that's kind of like how this book starts off, and then like I said, then all of a sudden danger. There's the natives are hostile, and we got
Mhm.
to figure out a way to achieve our mission, but without people dying and stuff like that. Um, and I guess the what led me to this story is
Mhm.
like I had this idea of aliens, the hostile aliens, but there's going to be another race that I introduce in a later book.
Oh, okay.
And that was
Nice.
kind of like where I'm kind of going towards with this story. So this is kind of like a bridge. This book is like a bridge
Sure.
to like a couple other stories that I have in this little multiverse or whatnot.
Got it. Very
So
cool.
yeah.
Like, did you, how does the process go? Do you come up with the universe first? Like, figure out, like, the basis of the fictional world first, and then you start with the story, or how does that work?
Give me one sec. Hang on.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm nowhere near a light switch, so I'm gonna go switch it on real quick.
Oh, yeah, 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 no worries. Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh, that's what you look like.
All right.
All right.
It got dark really fast.
Yeah. Crept up on us. What was I saying? Oh, I was
Yeah.
asking you about the process. Like, do you come up with the fictional universe first, and then you get into some storyline, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I guess the storyline came first.
Okay.
Like I said, I wanted to tell two different the post-apocalyptic part where these like militants basically like I'm calling them the US Space Force, which is basically like Donald Trump's evil like
Right.
militants, that are like becoming these very oppressive force that kind of like are trying to control the remainder of the population basically. Like, you got this
Mm,
very few couple hundred people left, and they're trying to control it. So that's kind of
right.
the story on Earth. And then on the meantime, I'm trying to tell this other story on this other planet. And so there's kind of like ways of exporting the characters from this planet to that planet, and you'll see that kind of throughout the book where they
Hmm.
they kind of send them back to Earth, and then the characters from Earth can kind of intermingle with the characters on Earth. So I'm telling two different stories, and there's going to
Interesting.
be sort of a point where some of these characters later on in the series are gonna sort of intermingle with each other. But right now they're kind of two separate things: the Earth story of a Space Force and the Nurthis. But that the Nurthis mission is also controlled by Space Force. So eventually, these assholes are gonna come over to Nurthis and tell them what to do and kind of like you know put an iron fist on them as well. So it's like that's kind of like the antagonist in the entire series is not aliens or whatever other creatures I have that are killing people. It's the militant for powers that be. Basically, that's kind of the common
Hmm,
denominator.
interesting. And the the uh the natives on Nerthus, um, they're called the Nerthlings, right?
Yep, the Nurthlings.
Okay,
So
and yeah,
the
maybe talk a little
inspiration
bit about
behind the
that.
Nurthlings, I did some
Hmm.
research, and
Okay.
there's a that multiply by injecting. What was it? Sorry, you froze a little bit.
Oh, I didn't say anything, but you froze on my end too. Maybe you could start over,
I'm trying
like
to see
on
if
the
I can make
Nerthlings.
my connection a little bit better because I'm like
Okay,
struggling on my end. Sorry about this.
no worries.
Oh no, okay, no problem.
Uh, you could try to you could try to refresh the browser.
I didn't catch that. Sorry.
Oh, you could try to refresh the browser.
Oh, refresh,
Mhm.
refresh the browser. I'm gonna try to do that.
All right.
Reload site. Let's try this.
Yeah, yeah. Give us 1 second, guys.
All right, I'm refreshing, so you might lose me.
Yeah, no worries.
Can you hear me okay right now?
Okay, while we're waiting for Chris to get back online here, I did want to tell you guys about the eclectic arts and entertainment industry mixer that we have scheduled Saturday, April 29th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Thumbprint Gallery in La Jolla. It's just a little mixer that we put together, and we get artists, filmmakers, musicians, actors, performers, poets, fashion designers, arts related nonprofits and for profits. We just get together, hang out, make contacts, socialize, and have fun. There's no cover and complimentary drinks. And now that's at Thumbprint Gallery, Saturday, April 29th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. I do think we have Vance. Vance is back online.
Hey,
All
I'm
right.
back. I don't know if I improved my connection at all, but
I bet you
yeah,
did. Who knows? We'll find out. Worth a shot. Yeah, so to get back to where
yeah.
we were, the Nerflings. Tell us about them. What are they? They're kind of like humanoid type creatures on Nerthus. Seems like.
Yeah, so okay, so the inspiration of the Nurthlings was derived from these they're called parasitic wasps, and I was
Oh,
kind of doing like a lot of research to see what kind of like weird sort of abilities and you know multiplication
hmm.
you know breeding methods and stuff and whatnot. So I did a lot of research on different animals and stuff, and there's these things called parasitic that basically like inject eggs into like a caterpillar or something, and the
Wow.
caterpillar doesn't even like know that it's been injected, and then
God.
they actually have video that like YouTube videos on this. It's really creepy, and you got this all these little larvae like or little creatures growing inside of the caterpillar, and they're
Hmm.
saying that they say on this documentary that I was watching that even they could even control like what the caterpillar does, almost like as if it were under paralysis or something. Um, and eventually they just
Oh, I've
keep eating
seen
away
that.
at the insides of the caterpillar, and and they keep the caterpillar alive just enough so they could like prolong it, and then finally like they'll eat the caterpillar until it dies, and they'll spin like these little cocoons, um, and like on the caterpillar's corpse or whatever. And then
Hmm.
once they metamorphosize or whatever, they turn into their the little baby wasps or whatever. But
Wow.
I did all this research and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm gonna have my aliens like inject people,
Yeah.
and then I come to find that that's exactly the same inspiration that the Alien franchise like had for
Right.
their. And I was like, oh god, like I because I was like totally unintentional, like the same
Right.
idea.
Uh-huh.
But mine's a little different because I made mine like more sexual because I'm just like weird like that. So it's like
Mhm.
they're like instead of just injecting them, they have like their injectors are like in their you know nether regions. So
Right.
it's a little bit sexualized. Like you'll find a lot of in my books. It's everything's like either violent or sexualized. I don't know, just for the fun of
Mhm.
it. So that's the Nurthlings. They're like the parasitic wasps, but they use their members instead of their I think it's called a the member that or the it's not a stinger obviously because a stinger will
Mhm.
sting you. It's called a oh, I don't even remember the name now. It's in the book though. There's a
Right.
term for it. There's a term for that part of the anatomy that injects
Right.
eggs.
Right. It's
It starts with
it
an E, but
it's
anyhow,
it's penis-like, but it's not necessarily called that.
very, very phallic, yeah.
Phallic.
But,
Yeah.
and I think the parasitic wasp, like, in real life, it's kind of phallic as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's actually there actually is a term for it, and it's in the book.
Okay.
There's a lot of research that went behind sort of, uh, like, this the Nurthlings and also the way they see. They're, like, blind, but they can see, heat, which is, like,
Mhm.
something that, like, a lot of snakes can do. So,
Mhm.
that's part of the if you're like hiding from these things, like there's that element of like they could see you if they could see your heat, which makes it a little tricky when they encounter the the android because the android is like not as heated up as a
Oh,
human
okay.
would be.
Right,
So it's
right.
almost like they can't like really sense her at first. So there's a like I said, there's a lot of like just like kind of quirky like sex and violence in this, but there is a lot of like science in it as well because I did a lot of research on insects and snakes and even like turtles, there's like a turtle that could eat these mushrooms, and if you eat the turtle, I think it's just the regular pet turtle that people have, box turtle, North American box turtle. If you eat the turtle, you'll die, but the turtle could somehow ingest these poisonous mushrooms. So that comes into play in a certain part in the book, like the
Okay,
Nurthlings are eating these
I haven't
poisonous
gotten to that
things,
part yet.
and thus making them, yeah, thus making them like uh toxic for us, for people to eat, basically. So they can't even use them for food if they wanted to, so it's like
Yeah.
they're kind of like just completely worthless to humans,
Well,
so that's
I
kind of the Nurthlings. That's the dilemma that these
mhm.
face.
What I got is the Nerflings are kind of like humanoid type creatures, right?
They are, yeah, they do
Mhm.
have like four
Forearms.
arms instead of two. They do stand on two legs, but when
Mhm.
they run on four legs. Um, they have
Kinda
one
kinda
eye, and
like
it looks
a
kind of
is it
like a big
okay,
insect eye.
okay, okay. So they run kinda like a what do they call those?
Yeah.
A minotaur or something like that? Sorta like that? Not quite.
I I think there's, like, some creatures on, like, Infinity Wars that, like, they stand
Mm,
on 2 legs and then they run on all 4s. I just happened to catch that the last time I watched, like, the Marvel stuff, and I was like,
mhm.
"That kinda looks like my creatures a little bit."
Right.
Like I said, some of these things are just coincidence because,
Sure.
like, the alien thing and the Marvel thing, it's not like I'm pulling all these different things from movies, but, there's just,
Right.
like, there's only so many different, like, way of an alien could look, like, you don't want it to look like a blob. I actually read this article by my editor, and one of his article was how human should aliens be, because if they're too
Mhm.
alien, like, if it's just a blob, like, with
Right.
lights coming out of it, you kinda lose the connection, and it's
Right.
not as interesting to the reader or to the. So it's funny, there's, like, this article that I read that was, kinda talking about that idea of how human your aliens should be in your in your novels or in your stories.
Right.
So
No,
it
that
there is
makes
something
sense.
to it. It's like you wanna make them, yeah, you wanna make them somewhat similar, so there's, like, sort of a connection, like a it's creepier when things are humanoid, like, can't
Yep.
explain it, but we
Are
just
you
know
tr
it is creepy.
are you trying to, like, portray some type of, I don't know, primal or animalistic side of human beings through the Nerflings?
I think I froze out again. I missed that whole question. Sorry about that.
Okay. No, no worries. Are you trying to portray, some type of, like, primal or animalistic side of human beings through the Nerflings?
Most definitely. I think
Mhm,
so, yeah, you could kinda see a parallel to just, I mean, the name of the book series is Primal Future, so
mhm.
and the slogan of the series is, "In the future, only the primal prevail." So it's basically saying, like, even though we're in the future, everything's, like, got knocked back to the, like, caveman, era,
Right,
as far as conceptually, and so these aliens do encompass just like this nasty primal, almost human, sort of personality, I guess, like the bad primal side of the non-civilized side of humans, and
right.
same with the sort of militants as well. You kind of see the nasty side of it's definitely like dystopian, it's the glass is
Mhm.
half full side of the end of the world. I mean, not that there's a glass half full side of the end of the world, but you know, you have to
Well,
have a
there
glass
well
half.
well, I noticed that they, okay, so they don't seem to hear very, very well, um, and they mostly just eat and reproduce, um, they're not there's no intellectual side of them, but then I kinda see a contrast with the android where she's, like, supercomputer. So she is like the intellectual side of human beings. Then they like encounter each other and they can't and they like the Earthlings can't even notice she's there.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. That the first encounter is the android and one of the Nurthlings. Like it's not a
Hmm.
human, and like
Right.
you said, it just happens to be the super primal, like non cerebral, you know,
Yeah, that's the right word.
being, and and then you get this like super computer basically with the alpha male, body encompassing uh like a brilliant, computerized mind basically. So yeah,
Right.
I don't I don't know if there's a reason that I did that. It might just
Mhm.
be, it might have just been a coincidence, but it is an interesting point, like the super,
Makes it interesting.
the super cerebral. Yeah. And the whole time they're worried about the alien, like I there's this whole like kind of love story,
Mhm.
the computer tech of the ship, who's like the super brainiac guy that's in charge of like all the control panel and the spaceship, and like anything technology based. He's like the genius basically. And so of course like this guy and the android have this like sort of secret love relationship going on,
Well, you gotta have
because
that. Definitely. Right.
yeah. Yeah, so basically, it's just ironic because he's like, he's like a genius with technology, and she is technology at its finest. So
That makes sense.
of course he falls in love with her, and she says, finally a man that sees, you know,
Understands me or something. Yeah.
understands me and
Yeah,
sees the true
that was
beauty
pretty
of
good.
me. So that there's a weird love triangle in that, and I'm not even I don't I, it's not really like people don't know that it's happening. It's almost kind of secretive in the beginning,
Mhm.
and then like at some point maybe somebody stumbles in on them, like
Yeah.
in the mechanical room doing some weird
Right.
stuff in there. So yeah, it's
Right.
just like it's there's a little bit of comedy in this. Like you almost like it's almost like if you're gonna if I'm gonna do something this like violent and sexual,
Mhm.
it's almost like a Kill Bill movie where it's just so ridiculous.
Right.
It's like this is so fucking ridiculous, but
Over the top,
that's
but
why
fun.
that's hopefully that's what makes people like read it, because it's like this is so ridiculous. I can't put it down though.
Right.
It's just like excessive violence, excessive sex, weird kinky sex, like weird awkward scenes where like people, somebody gets walked in on, doing something, doing the hanky
Right.
panky or whatever, and just like a lot of like weird awkward parts. So I like that social tension in those scenes. Like it just makes, I think it like adds something that a lot of novels like don't have, where it's just you know it's not like a movie where everybody says these cool one-liners. It's like, no, there's awkward characters, there's awkward scenes. I think that kind of adds something unique to the table.
Yeah, it's pretty entertaining in my opinion. Um, so this
Thank
is your
you.
s yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, definitely. So this is your second novel. Um, was it easier this time around compared to the first novel?
No, it was way harder actually,
Oh.
because first of all, the length of the novel, the first one was very short,
Mhm.
and for whatever reason, like I just pumped it out really quick.
Mm.
I think it was like during the pandemic, so there was just a lot more time, like where I just
Sure.
concentrated on it and just
Yeah.
cranked it out. And then this other one is like, I want to say it's like 3 times the length. And
Mhm.
so I really had to, there's more content, but then also like it was kind of post pandemic at this point, and I'm not like just cooped up like in my laboratory,
Right.
typing away. I'm like doing other things, and had a me and my wife had a baby like a year and a half ago, so there's
Okay.
that too.
Yeah.
But I'm also, once the baby's asleep, I'm typing away, in the bedroom,
Wow.
typing away stories and stuff like that. So I think it was more pandemic related than personal, life related, I'd say.
Is it harder now to find time to write? I mean, it sounds like it would be. Is it
Yeah, I mean,
challenging?
like I said, it's kind of like between 7:30 between 7:30 and bedtime, it's like that's kind of our time. Like once you put the baby
Okay.
to sleep and everybody, and we're just kind of doing our own thing. But you also want to relax at that time too. It's like I don't know how
So you
many.
gotta sacrifice something.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a creator though, so it's like whatever time I have, I do like to create. That's
Sure.
I do like to relax. Sometimes you just need to relax, but creating is therapeutic for me for sure, and I think a lot of artists can probably relate to that, no matter what point in your life you're at.
Definitely. Are you looking to write a third novel? I mean, you are, right? You already said that, but how many are
Yeah.
going to be in the series total, you think?
So I already have the third one written. I just
Wow.
yeah. Once I have it written though, it's gonna take still like another year,
Yeah.
like until like anybody sees it because I
Mhm.
gotta take it to the editor, and then
Sure.
he's got to review it and make changes, and then I'm gonna read it like another couple times, and then maybe I have
Mhm.
some peer reviewers that will read it to make sure like as another set of eyes.
Cool.
So I think what's gonna happen is I'm gonna have that trilogy basically, and then I think after this last novel, I'm just like, man, I don't want to write another book that's longer than 100 pages because
Okay.
200 is just too hard. Like,
I see.
it's just too long in between. Also, like the
Mhm.
first one I pumped it out really quick, and but for whatever reason, once it's like above 200, it just takes a lot of time before it gets to anybody to read, you know. And so I
Hmm.
think after this trilogy, I'm gonna switch to like shorter. Like I'm gonna still tell the story that I want to tell, but I'm just gonna tell it in smaller stories. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it's gonna be
Mhm.
short stories after this, but it's still gonna be on the same timeline. So I'm gonna find a way to sort of break it up. Like, I mean, you know, you break up a book by chapters anyways, right? So you're already breaking it up, but this is just breaking it up from this 200 page or 100 page book to like um, less than 100 pages. I think I'm gonna do like little short ones, and that way it's just kind of like I get the more I think the more pieces that you complete and the you know the process of releasing it and promoting it, I think the better you get at that process. But when I'm doing it like 2 years in between each one, you know, then it's like, oh, I don't even remember how to upload it on this on the Kindle site or whatever, and like, how now I got to figure out Instagram and Facebook. It's like when I went on Instagram and Facebook to try to promote it on social media, and it wouldn't even let me like run ads. I'm like, I
Mm.
used to be able to just like pay whatever amount, and then it would like
Mhm.
it would do a sponsored post. Now it's like all complicated, and they don't even.
Oh
I don't know
gosh, it's so
for
complicated now.
I
I don't know
think
what they did.
I think they've made it so that, like, only, like, large corporations can promote now. I don't
No,
think
no, no, no. You have to you if you want to do it on Instagram, you have to go through Facebook for
Yeah,
whatever reason. You should
yeah,
be
it's
able to do it. I haven't done it in a while, but
yeah, I tried to do some sponsored posts, and it like, for whatever reason, it wasn't giving me access. It was
LOL.
saying, like it was saying something about due to, like, the last, sponsored post you didn't get enough clicks or whatever, like,
What?
you've been, like, banned or something, I don't know,
For real?
something,
I
and I'm
didn't
like,
know.
the only people that are gonna get a ton of likes and clicks are the, like, big corporations, you know, that are, like, putting in, like, you know, thousands of dollars in these promotions, like,
Right.
and it's like, I'd much rather see, you know, Joe Schmo's, like, whatever, like, you know, book or film than, like, another Hims commercial.
Right. Um, so last question. Um, what is some advice you would give to a beginning writer who is looking to get their first novel published?
Yeah, as far as the writing process goes, I would recommend this is a recommendation that I just
Mhm.
say besides books. This goes to like music and art as well. It's just always finish the piece. Um, it might
Hmm.
you know don't be. I think a lot of beginning artists in different like I said, could be any art, they're like there's like some sort of either insecurity that like this has to be like a great piece for their because it's their first one, but it's like
Mhm.
just finish the piece and then move on, and you have room to improve. Don't expect your first piece to be like the Mona Lisa, you know. Finish
Mhm.
the piece.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people get caught in this limbo. Not a lot. I'm saying a lot of beginners. A lot of
Sure.
beginners like they never really take off in their career because there's this like sort of they're out of the gates. It's kind of like, oh, I don't know, like I wrote this, but then I like crumpled up the paper and then I like got a new piece of paper and then I wrote, and it's like nothing's ever good enough. And it's like just finish one piece, and then move on to the next one. I think same with music, like, oh, I wrote all these songs, but they're not any good and da 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 da. Da. But it's like you never even finished it. How do you even know if it's good?
Yeah.
Maybe if you just finished it, you would you finish it and then you like revise it and you polish it and maybe it would have been good, but you just kind of like killed the idea
Right.
before it even had a chance. So always finish your piece. And then I published through Kindle, just because
Mm-hmm.
it's really easy, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the least interesting way to go, direction to go. If you have
Oh, I
some,
see.
if somebody else has some other publishing leads, then by all means. But this is just the easiest way to get it out there to everybody. So that's kind of the way I did it, and anybody could just publish anything on Kindle, or Kindle Direct Publishing is what it's called. Um,
Very cool.
so so anyways, that's kind of the 300-pound gorilla, as they call it in the industry for books. But if I doubt any publishers would pick up like a first time writer. Like
Mm-hmm.
who am I,
It's
right?
tough.
So
Tough, yeah.
so this is the only way I could just kind of get access, so that people could basically accessibility, so people could
Mm-hmm.
find my product and buy it. And then maybe if I get a name for myself, I'll search for like other publishers that are a little bit more like ma and pa, sort of things,
Yeah,
where they could
that
provide
makes
more
sense.
for you. Hmm.
Right on. Well, we're gonna get your name out there on April 7th. Meet and greet with novelist Vance Black. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the event. Thanks for having me. And it looks like we're finally ending the interview, and I'm having my connection is working now. So
Oh, the connection's perfect now.
perfect timing to end it. But yeah,
Oh
looking
well.
forward to it. I'm gonna do, like, I might do like a little reading. I got some of the artwork on display.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring a projector, put some of that
Okay.
up. It's gonna be fun. So come by and say hi. If you don't know me, like, come say hi and meet me. And maybe pick up a copy of the book, or just take a look at the artwork, and meet some of the other artists. It sounds like you guys are gonna have a full house of art. And so
Yeah,
even
it's gonna
some
be
of
fun.
my friends and fans are gonna get a kick out of checking out all that there is to see. So thank you.
Nice. All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, take it easy,
See
guys.
ya. All right. So that was Vance Black. Come and check him out April 7th. The event is 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Meet and greet. Yeah, so now I want to go on to the next thing here. Um, as most of you will know, that on this podcast, we have been, um, well, I should also say that sorry about Instagram. We're not live Instagram right now. I couldn't get it to work for some reason. But yeah, so on this podcast, we have been keeping up to date with the homelessness crisis, which in fact does affect the arts and culture industry. The worse that the homelessness crisis gets, the harder it is for uh, the San Diego region to attract tourism, which the arts and culture industry is significantly dependent upon. Um, this reason, along with just the inhumanity of allowing these conditions to result in this kind of suffering for people to continue in society, is why we in the arts should be concerned about homelessness. Um, a recent study from SDSU has found that negative encounters with police is resulting in Black homeless people in San Diego being more reluctant to accept services and aid to get them out of their homeless situation. Now, the SDSU study offers several policy changes as well, and this is what this is from a quote from the Voice of San Diego about the study, and I quote: "The SDSU study recommended, among other tasks, that the city stop enforcing crimes associated with homelessness, remove homeless outreach functions from the police department, increase amenities such as trash pickup and restrooms near homeless camps and institute an ordinance that would dramatically shift how police handle stops. Um, Now, however, and that's the end of the quote. However, city officials have decided to basically propose the exact opposite of what the study is recommending. Mayor Todd Gloria and City Councilman Stephen Whitburn are leading the charge to ramp up more police enforcement efforts to criminalize homelessness. And they're doing this by introducing a bill which would basically ban encampments on public property. And this includes sidewalks and canyons where many homeless individuals live in their tents. Um, However, a federal court decision uh, will only allow forcible removing of homeless individuals from public property and giving out citations if there are available shelter beds for them to go to. Uh, but the proposed law does attempt to give an exception to this rule by allowing citations to be given when it comes to certain types of locations, such as within 2 blocks of schools and within a transit hub and other exceptions. Um, Now, I don't know if this bill will actually pass legal muster. Um, it could, I think, it could ultimately be challenged in court, um, but we'll have to see. Now, the irony is that there are actually not enough shelter beds in San Diego now for this law to actually have any material effect because, as I mentioned, um, they're only allowed to forcibly remove encampments if there are actual shelter beds to send the homeless people to. So they first need to create the shelter beds for them to really enforce this proposed law. Um, so it's kind of just until that happens, it's just kind of political grandstanding, really. Um, I think Mayor Todd Gloria is afraid of Kevin Falconer jumping into the next mayoral race. Um, However, the city is now looking to create hundreds more shelter beds at Inspiration Point in Balboa Park. So I hope they get that done as soon as possible. Now, another obstacle to the proposed ramp up of enforcement is whether or not the police actually have the manpower available to handle the increased enforcement crackdowns on homeless individuals. Uh, the police have recently been complaining quite a bit about not having enough staff to do the responsibilities they are tasked with at this moment. Yet somehow Mayor Todd Gloria is claiming that the police say they are up to the task. I do find that kind of unlikely with in light of the recent reports that police response times have been increasing significantly. Now, I have noticed that Mayor Gloria and Councilman Whitburn did not mention the Protect Act, which we have been covering on the podcast. And this Protect Act would, in fact, lighten the load of police responsibilities, which could free up more manpower to deal with the potential ramp up of police enforcement needed for actually banning homeless encampments on public property. Um, Now, it seems weird that they would ignore one possible way to make it more likely police do have the resources available to enforce um, the proposed crackdown on homeless encampments. Um, but it's possible this could be because both the mayor and council member Whitburn had uh, came into power with the endorsement and financial resources of the police union. It should also be noted that council members Jen Campbell and Kent Lee are also backed by the police union, which is strongly opposed to the Protect Act, which aims to increase accountability for police officers and curb police violence against marginalized communities. Um, so, could this be why these city officials are refusing to consider the Protect Act, even if it would help their proposal to ban homeless encampments to have any material effect whatsoever? It's certainly something interesting to think about, right? Okay, well, now I want to continue on the theme of police accountability, and I'm going to play a pre-recorded interview with San Diego artist Lourans Mikhail about his memorial mural he did in Tennessee uh, to for Tyre Nichols, who was beaten to death by the Memphis Police Department. Um, Give me 1 second, I'll cue that up. Where is that thing? All right. Hey, I'm here with San Diego artist Lourans Mikhail, and we're going to talk about his memorial mural for Tyre Nichols that he did in Memphis. But how you doing, Lourans? Welcome to the show.
Good, Johnny. How are you? Thank you. Thank you.
I'm doing good. Thanks for being on.
Thank you for having
Yeah.
me.
So yeah, for sure. So real briefly, for those who may not know, can you tell us a little bit about your background, about yourself, and how did you get started making art? Where, yeah, start with that.
Yes, I was born in Baghdad, Iraq. I'm ethnically Assyrian. Immigrated to the U.S., raised in Chicago, joined the Marines, did 13 years, got stationed in San Diego. So I've been here since then. As far as art, I did a lot of graffiti growing up when they took art out of school in Chicago, and kind of got back into it after the Marine Corps, did graphic design, and decided I want to do art, and been doing it since 2018. So got into
Right
murals,
on.
sculpture, and painting.
Cool. And you've had a solo show at Thumbprint Gallery, and you've done several group shows with Thumbprint Gallery. Where else have you shown your work?
Yes, I've had a solo show with Thumbprint during the pandemic. Still good though. Shown
Oh
with
yeah.
Shockbox Gallery in LA, Redondo Beach area, Hermosa Beach, um, Chattanooga, Memphis, Chicago.
Nice.
That's about it for now. I
Okay.
think, yeah.
Cool. So
France.
now we're gonna France. Oh yeah, you had a what was it called? A residency over there, right? Artist
Yeah,
residency.
artists. Yep.
How long were you there in France?
That was 4 weeks. That was in
4 weeks.
April last year. Yeah.
Just making art, and then you had a show, or is that how it went?
No, we just made art and kind of stress free and just able to be artists and like literally not worry about anything, not even food.
Nice.
Just having like amazing food cooked every day.
Nice. Cool.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, we're gonna go ahead and talk about the Tyre Nichols memorial mural. Just to kind of recap what happened. Tyre Nichols was beaten to death. A young black man beaten to death by the police in Memphis, Tennessee. And there's a lot of media coverage and all that. and brought up questions about police accountability and reining in police violence against marginalized communities and people of color. Yeah. So how did the Tyre Nichols Memorial Mural come about? Like, how did they? How did you get set up to do that?
Reached out to a couple of people I knew out in Memphis from the mural festival that they run out there called Paint Memphis. And when I saw it happen in Memphis, what happened to Tyre Nichols, just kind of reached out and said, "Hey, I'm ready. Fly out there. Can we find a wall?" And they went to work, found a wall, and went out there, knocked out 2 murals,
Wow.
and got it done.
Cool. And what made you inspired to create this memorial mural, since it was your idea? Like what was your inspiration for it?
Well, I mean, a lot of my art has to do with social and political ideologies or movements. And when I saw what happened after what had happened in 2020, obviously before that,
Right.
what's been going on in this country for hundreds of years,
Right.
thought it would have been figured out in 2020. We obviously knew it wasn't gonna be that quick, and it happened
Right.
again. So when it happened again, I kind of just wanted to do something for him and incorporate everything he liked, photography, skateboarding, and sunsets, and just wanted him to look on forever. And it kind of worked out where, just like the eyes give like this kind of sense of movement where like no matter where you're standing, he's like looking at you. So even as you're driving down the street, you just like lock eyes with him as you pass by. So it's pretty moving. It's pretty cool to do. Kind of pushed me out of my limits. So yeah.
Right. Does most of your art have a political message usually, or?
Not all of it. I mean, some of it, when I feel like something needs to be said, I will definitely try to incorporate something into that. Some kind of wordplay or smart and subtle message of kind of like poking the bear, or bringing a perspective, or kind of bringing the spotlight onto that particular subject or topic. So some of it's just fun,
Yeah. Do you feel police violence against communities of color and other marginalized communities needs to be paid attention to more?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've known that forever.
Right.
And I mean, it's, we know it has nothing to do with the race of the officer. I think it's just the institutionalization of just that job force, that workforce, and what they get exposed to and what they see every day. Like, I mean, it's terrible, and then
Right.
they have to go and do that stuff. So I think a lot of things need to be looked at. Things need to be changed, and we just need to figure some things out. I mean, we can't keep on rolling on square wheel thinking we're going to get somewhere.
Right. And the mural is bringing attention to that, of course.
Yeah.
Is it all spray paint? Is that the medium you used?
Yeah, it was all spray paint, done over about 3.5 days, just about 3.5, 4 days it took roughly.
Okay.
And yeah.
And you flew out there and you just banged it out.
Flew out there, had a couple of off days because it rained like 2 days in a row, so I was able to go see a couple of things.
Okay.
And then started back up again once the weather cleared up, and was able to work it out and then get it done.
All right. Well, I'm gonna bring up the image of the mural right now. Yeah. Maybe you could go through like the imagery that you use and
absolutely
tell us. And there you are in for scale. The artist himself is right in front of the wall there. But yeah, so here's the image of the mural. Yeah, tell us what you painted. It has some words here: "Change the world."
Yeah.
What is that about?
So the actual background image, the sunset, is actually from a photograph that Tyre Nichols took himself of the bridge of Memphis.
Cool.
There's a couple of them there. I don't remember the exact name of this one. And then obviously there's a silhouette of him skateboarding from a video of his off of YouTube.
Okay.
And I kind of incorporate a little film roll right there with the negative rolled out. And
He's a photographer, right? Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah, he liked photography, and just kind of have him kind of skateboarding off of that negative. And then you got the words "change the world," which when you watch the funeral service, as his mom was standing up there, someone yelled out, he's going to change the world, or he changed the world. And to me, that just stuck out because I read it in I watched the video after I read it, and then to me that just kind of stuck out because it's like, how many more people have to be the face of a movement in order to, kind of bring something that's common sense. And then, the photo of him, I decided to put the sun right there behind him, kind of keep it shining on him at all times. And the photo is of him where he was wearing a Clippers hat, and I just decided to put a heart in there. Number one, it's not in it's not LA, and it's painted in Memphis, obviously, number one. And then number two, I just I thought the heart would be a little bit more symbolic. He has a child, he has a mom,
more
so I just want to put it out there. Yeah, more universal, and I just thought I don't know, just a better message. Like what we need is love and compassion, empathy.
Right. Well said. Did you communicate with the family of Tyre Nichols, or did they have any input on the imagery?
So I didn't communicate with them directly myself. Karen Golightly with Paint Memphis had another artist that painted a mural of Tyre Nichols in Memphis as well, David Yancey, DY3 Art, who's also in Memphis. He's the now co-director of Paint Memphis 123, and he had gotten in contact with them. So when I had reached out to her, she asked about this one. They gave the blessings to it as well. I think I know his supervisor. I forget from which shift. Forget the name, but they came by. Boomer. They came by, and they said they had sent the photo to his parents when they were down in LA watching the Clippers game, and they were like, "Oh, they loved it." When they get back, they were going to come out and see it. So,
wow, very cool. Have you done any public artworks before?
I've done a couple of other murals. One in San Diego, one in Anaheim, and then a couple out in Memphis. Actually, probably have the most out in Memphis. So San Diego, if you need murals, I'm here.
Do you have a lot of contacts in Memphis? I know you spent some time living in Tennessee.
Yeah, so pretty much just people I know out there from Paint Memphis. That's about it. Yeah. So just have done that last 3 years.
Okay.
So
cool. And as far as the Tyre Nichols mural, what do you hope people will take away from seeing and experiencing the memorial mural for Tyre Nichols?
I mean, I can say what I hope it does. Not everyone's going to obviously agree with me. Some people just say it's just art. I hope it can, we all know public art helps beautify neighborhoods. It hopefully there was a lot of kids that came by, let them paint. So hopefully that sparked something in them to one day hopefully do something. Some of the people were like, man, we don't have nothing like this in Orange Mound, which was a neighborhood. And which they do have murals, but it was just nice to see people's reactions. So hopefully it helps them and kind of does some kind of healing and stops us from repeating the past. Hopefully we learn from it, and hopefully the message stands true and rings. But we'll see. Time will tell.
Right. And what future projects do you have coming up that we should be on the lookout for?
Me, just still working on my series, Different Strokes. It's the brush series that I had the solo show at Thumbprint Gallery at, and working on my other couple other series, literally, and my anamorphic alphabet. I've been exploring different ideas and themes with that to kind of turn it more into a series, and just working on hopefully some large scale public sculptures and see what else comes about.
What can you explain what an anamorphic what do you call it?
Alphabet
is?
So the anamorphic alphabet, it is uppercase and lowercase letters in a single letter form that uses only one line that never intersects to create uppercase and lowercase letters. I don't know if I just said that. So that's what it does. Uppercase, lowercase letters using, perspective. That's what anamorphic kind of gets into. Like when you kind of shift one way, you'll see something, and then you shift another way, and it'll form like a whole picture. So that's what that does. Let me show a quick example.
All right, yeah.
Here you go. So that right there is love. So that's, there we go. Backwards here. L and L.
Uppercase, lowercase L.
Yep. Big O, little O, little V, big V, and then big E backwards, and then little E.
Oh yeah. And you make sculptures out of the anamorphic alphabet too, right?
Yeah. I actually have one of that, and probably see that.
Oh, yeah.
That'll probably help a little easier with understanding.
Yeah, definitely.
So here we go. So this is E and E. Let's see if we can get it to where there's no glare. All right.
Can you take it out of there?
Oh, yeah, I guess we could do that, huh? There we go.
There you go. Yeah, very cool.
So this one works actually pretty good. You have E. And then here we go this way. You have lowercase e right there.
Nice. Any plans to make anamorphic alphabet pieces out of different like languages, I guess, or different?
That's going to be kind of
Arabic
hard
or whatever.
Yeah, because they all have different. It's not always like uppercase, lowercase. Some of them
that's
are,
true.
They're used differently, like for titles and different scripts. Like certain ones, they're just called different scripts. It's not even similar to English. So yeah, no, that was hard enough doing it in English.
Right.
We'll figure something else out eventually.
Yeah.
So,
right on. Pretty cool. And where can people keep up with what you're doing? You got an Instagram page, a website?
Yeah. So my Instagram is just my name. Not as easy as you would think. Lourans Mikhail, spelled Lourans. Last name is Mikhail, Mikhail. And that's my Instagram, Facebook, website, and pretty much everything that you'll find out there. YouTube, everything else. What's it? Twitter and Mastodon. What's the other one?
Mastodon? You're on Mastodon?
Yeah, Mastodon. Yeah, I'm on Mastodon.
Oh.
Gotta get on there.
Cover everything.
And what's the other one? Twitch or TikTok. TikTok. That's it. I think I'm on Twitch too. I don't know.
What about Truth Social? You on that one?
Yeah. The real 45.
Oh man. All right, right on everybody. Go follow Lourans Mikhail on all the socials. And yeah, thanks, Lourans, for being on the podcast. Thanks for your the memorial
Thank you.
mural for Tyre Nichols and everything you're doing for social justice through your creativity.
Yeah, thank you, Johnny.
Thanks. Have a good one. All right. So that was are we on? Okay. That was Lourans Mikhail, local San Diego artist, talking about his memorial mural for Tyre Nichols and more. Okay, just want to make sure this is on. Yeah, I want to play a video that Lourans did, kind of documenting the process of the creation of the mural and the music. The background music is actually created by Lourans himself. So check it out.
Luca Vanella on the beat. Lourans Mikhail.
All right. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I wanted to stay a little bit on the theme of um, American oppression of Black people, people of color, and other marginalized communities. Um, and that is a topic that uh, was addressed in a recent Old Globe Theater production that I actually happened to be able to go see myself. And that production is called The 19th, and that's now at the Globe Theater in Balboa Park, and it's playing until April 23rd. It's written by Kemp Powers and directed by Carl Cofield. And this is the little write up the Old Globe has for the play. Mexico City, 1968. Two Black American sprinters, the fastest men on earth, raised their fists in protest, inspired by real events from the historic 19th Olympic Games and directed by Carl Cofield. This suspenseful world premiere play by Kemp Powers chronicles the intersection of sports and activism and shows the life-changing repercussions of being a champion who chooses to speak out. Of course, that reminds me of Colin Kaepernick. And like I said, I did get a chance to see the theater production, and I do highly recommend it. Just for a quick background, the play is about the infamous incident during the 19th Olympic Games where the two Black American sprinters won first and third place, stood on the Olympic pedestal, and raised their black gloved fists in protest against the to bring attention to the lack of equal rights for Black people in America. Both athletes had their careers and lives destroyed as a result of their righteous protests. One aspect I did find interesting about this theater production is how it highlights the tension between the two Black American athlete protesters and how the media purposely exacerbated this division, which resulted in a weakening of the civil rights cause that the two protesters were attempting to draw attention to and to empower. And also, the theater production highlights the third athlete, which was a white man from Australia who was also on the pedestal. He won second place, and he also expressed support for the protests as well. And he too had his career and life wrecked as a result of supporting the righteous cause. So yeah, that's going on till April 23rd at the Old Globe. So you guys go check that out. Now I wanted to stay on the theme of protecting marginalized communities and let you guys know about a fundraiser at the Tower Bar on April 7th. And that will be a concert to support the Drag is Not a Crime fundraiser, which goes to support the ACLU efforts to provide legal assistance and other types of support to the drag performers in Tennessee. As many of you know, the state of Tennessee has essentially banned all drag performances in the state. Now, 100% of the proceeds collected at the door will go to the cause. The doors will open at 8 p.m. and there will be live music from GTG, Dream Burglar, Bird of Paradise, and Famously Slutty. All right, so, and here is a little bit of the sample of the music. I think. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Anyways, yes, April 7th at the Tower Bar. And yeah, that's all we have for you guys today on the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into the Creative Buzz podcast. And I'll see you guys next time.